Drink beer. Think beer. You're listening to Brew Bloods.
There are two kinds of people I don't trust. People who don't drink and people who collect stickers. That's from Chelsea Handler.
Oh, okay.
People who don't collect stickers.
So no, people who do collect stickers.
collect stickers.
Yes.
Okay, that's, yeah.
So she doesn't trust children, I guess.
I was going to say, is that a big swath of society?
I don't know.
Stickers?
Who collects? I mean, stamps. I understand because those are some weird people. People
It's kind
collect
of a
stamps.
sticker, too, yeah.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
sticker. It's like
But
an
are
adult.
stickers like a valuable collectible at some point, or is that
Maybe
just
when
a
you were a
weird
kid, those
niche that
was it
people
the
are
Lisa
into?
Frank stickers, the puffy
Oh, yeah,
ones?
yeah. I definitely collected stickers
Sure.
as a kid. But
If you have your
not
Trapper
now.
Keeper, and
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. I'm just kidding.
I still want to try. Are Trapper Keeper still a thing? I still want a Trapper Keeper.
And who are you going to sell
Yes.
that sticker collection to?
Yeah, I want a
Another
Trapper
kid?
A Trapper Keeper for my
I have a
iPad.
lot of stickers for you, little kid.
Exactly.
Sounds like
Yeah, that's not
super
creepy at all.
inviting. Yeah.
In your white van
Right.
with no windows.
I don't think they ever had the same money cachet that like baseball cards ever did.
I
wouldn't
think it
think
was
so.
just like, can you want to trade stickers?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
No? Okay, never mind.
So I can understand why you don't. People put too much value in
Pokemon.
stickers. I understand now why you don't trust them.
I did
Yeah.
trade Ninja Turtle cards when I was in fourth grade.
Like Pokemon.
Yeah.
All of those.
Pokemon was before us.
but I wouldn't
Or
have
after
collected
us,
them
I mean.
now.
Before us. After us.
I wouldn't trust me now collecting
No.
that, though. That would be weird.
I did play Pokemon Go for a little while. I didn't even collect Pokemon when I was younger, but Pokemon Go is a pretty cool.
It was all the rage there for
Yeah, I know,
for a hot
right?
minute.
It's pretty double dead now, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
think like Javi still plays it. I think he's like
Javi
the last
would.
player in the world.
Yeah.
And then that kid who sang that song. the
Javi will never
Pokemon
let it
song,
die.
Yeah, he never lets it die.
Yeah.
So I'm Mark, and then Dustin's here as always, and we're joined once again by Jennifer, the Bearded Lady.
Hey there.
She's here not for another interview because
We
I
already
don't know
did
what
that.
else. I don't know what other questions we'd ask,
Yeah.
but we're here to talk about other things. And today we're going to be talking about a BBC documentary called "The Truth About Alcohol," which we'll get to here shortly. But first, let's talk about some beer news, some brews in the news. So, North Coast Brewing is getting sued by the estate of Thelonious Monk over the beer Brother Thelonious. I don't know if you guys have ever had Brother Thelonious. It's a
have
great
not.
Abbey Ale. It's one of my first craft beers that I ever picked up, just on a whim.
Has that been around? So that's been around for a
Oh,
bit.
yeah, it's been around for a long
Okay.
time. It's got a very distinct. It's got Thelonious Monk's face on it with like a red knit cap.
Okay.
And sunglasses
I have
on
had
it. Yeah, it's an Abbey Ale. It's,
Yep.
it's
If I
one-
have, I don't remember
It's
that.
like my first Abbey Ale. It's a great beer.
Exactly, yeah.
Anyways, they're getting sued by his son,
Oh,
the estate of Thelonious Monk, because apparently like 10 years ago when they started brewing, they had a verbal agreement only that they could use his likeness on the beer as long as North Coast donated some of their profits to the Thelonious Monk Institute for Jazz, which has locations in LA and DC. Well, apparently they also...
That's interesting. Monks and jazz. I didn't know that.
Well, he's not a real monk.
Oh, okay.
He's just... His last name is Monk.
I see what you're getting.
He's not a jazz monk.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That would have been even more awesome.
The
That
jazz
would've been
sect
great.
of the Catholic Church.
Right.
Anyways,
Pretty cool church.
Yeah.
so yeah, they're getting sued now because T.S. Monk, this is Thelonious Jr., rescinded the verbal agreement when he found out they were using it on banners, his likeness on banners and merchandise. He rescinded it a year ago. North Coast kept on making merchandise and using the image on their beer. And so he's turned around and filed a lawsuit for $75,000 and
Wow.
a licensing agreement from North Coast.
That seems really low.
It does seem, yeah.
75K.
Yeah, which, I mean, I guess... I mean, I don't know. I don't know how big... I mean, North Coast has pretty wide distribution. And
That's what
75
I mean. I
is
would have
pretty
thought
small.
Thought it would have been a lot higher.
Yeah. And Thelonious Monk, it's not like he's like a non-famous jazz artist, so...
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of... It is small, but, I mean, he's
He's
saying
one of the
that-
world's only jazz monks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's true.
We should all listen to him.
It should be worth more than 75K.
Of course, then again, he has... I mean, especially when he has North Coast over a barrel, that if they want to continue to make this beer and
Yeah.
call it the brand name they've had, they've got to license the beer.
Yeah.
So North Coast had no response as of now.
Oh, wow.
They had not responded at all. That's pretty sorry of them to not after that letter to not turn around and do something.
Well, yeah, and especially if you had this agreement.
Yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't.
and at the same time, I would conversely say, never if it comes to business, never rely on a verbal agreement. Always get a contract.
yeah.
Isn't that like rule
No
one?
handshakes or
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Even-
Yeah.
Maybe with a photo attached
Yeah.
or something. But
maybe if you're doing a podcast, a little podcast like this. But we signed a contract with Jennifer today. Actually,
Yeah,
She's here to
exactly.
show up.
Exactly.
She had a rider and everything,
It was signed in beer.
right, exactly.
and green M&Ms only.
So I came across another article from NPR that was talking about just the future of food in general. Beer
Yeah.
was lumped in with that, but
Beer's a food, right? It's like
they are.
It's another food
it is, yeah. And they're basically talking about the fact, and I don't want to go into the whole food element and
just
get
read
to the
the
actual
story
beer
line by
element,
line.
but yeah, I could. Yeah, I'll start from the top and go all the way down this 3-page article. But
Oh my goodness.
basically, they're talking about how we're going to be consuming less meat, probably, and having more like things like seaweed and even ants and other things like that.
Due to climate change, the effects of climate change.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the big things they talked about was beer and the fact that this particular area of the UK was starting to use chocolate in beer. They just mentioned that as like a one-off comment.
Yeah.
And like I was telling you before the show, it's kind of funny to me that's some revolutionary thing because I've seen chocolate in beer
Yeah.
for
Forever.
years and years and years.
Well, and even Young's Double Chocolate Stout is
Yeah.
a British beer,
Exactly,
which is
yeah.
really strange.
Huh,
And they also
really?
mentioned
And
there
they're
too,
like, ooh, chocolate. We're introducing this new thing into beer.
it's newfangled
And
confection.
Milk chocolate
Yeah.
now. What?
Yeah,
It's chocolate and
Amazing.
coffee imperial porter.
Right?
What a
Oh my
revolutionary.
Yeah, okay, yeah, never seen that before, but
It is strange, but they do say in the article also that they don't think beer itself, as far as taste, will change, but
Yeah.
it's more the brewing process they think will change. 'cause-
yeah, that's where I was going with it. To
Yeah.
say that they point out beer as the one thing in 100 years they think will probably still be the same because of how it's always been. It's always been simple. The only thing they're going to do is try to handle the barley and hops waste and that kind of thing better than we have, and maybe be more efficient with the brewing process to not use so much water per individual beer.
According to them, they were saying that it takes 300 liters of water to
1 liter of finished beer.
Yeah, to make one bottle of beer finished from start. I guess probably all the way back from
one finished liter.
One finished liter? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that's probably goes to all the manufacturing, all that jazz from end to end. Is 300 liters of water.
Yeah.
And then the 3 hours of powering a TV is about the energy equivalent it takes to make one bottle of beer. So there are a lot of like some breweries in the Netherlands and stuff like that are going totally green, where they're all solar powered or wind powered, and they're using a lot of water conservation stuff, reusing water, stuff like that, which is pretty cool to see.
Well, even domestically, especially, I'd say
seeing
especially
more.
West Coast breweries, but more than just them. But they seem to be the pioneers of it, trying to find more green ways to, especially get rid of the waste and all of that kind of stuff, and then be able to reuse it. A lot of breweries around here, I think even Franconia, as an example, donates all their, leftover barley to a farm up in Melissa. That kind of thing. So people are starting to do that. We talked about a couple of weeks ago, they're even trying to set up a specific business that goes around to all the microbreweries and gets all of their stuff, since they don't have the resources to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Put it all together and actually do something with the barley, too. So people keep moving in that direction, and I'm assuming that's nothing but a good thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, more green the better. Sorry, what were we going to
No,
say?
you're good. We were actually in Europe, and when we were in France, we went to a brewery, Outland Brewing, sorry, I like to mumble a little bit. They were actually taking the hops, the spent grain, and he was putting the spent grain and growing flies. This sounds very strange, I know. Well, in turn of doing that, they're growing flies, and those flies, that larva and kind of the leftover stuff, would go to the aquaponics on the top of French buildings to have fish and grow fish farms.
That's
and
cool.
then those fish farms, in turn, would make gas.
Right.
And so this is how he runs his brewery, was through gas. Unfortunately, it's really funny because he's like, I actually have to pay for the gas that I help make.
Right, sure.
But regardless, that was a really cool process that I was seeing in France. And the rest of them kind of gave it to the rest, like the usual, like give it to the horses and farms and stuff like that. But the coolest one was in France and how
That's
they
really
did all
cool.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they probably are going to have to keep coming up, and I say they, of people smarter than me that can figure out this kind of stuff, are going to have to keep coming up with new ways to actually handle that. You can't just give it all to livestock and that kind of stuff. But, I mean, even doing that, at least they're not just trashing it.
Oh, yeah,
There's something going on there.
I do wonder if we'll ever have past stump beer status of using, like they started using crickets in a lot of, like cricket flour, cricket protein bars, like extra bars are made out of. So I wonder if it's ever going to get to where we'll use crickets when alternative sources will become part of beer too. Like, it'll probably be a while. I mean, we've already got stump beers that kind of do that, but as a regular drinkable beer, might be a while.
If we could do something with all the insect population that was actually useful, that would be nice.
Yeah. Can we make cricket barley?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be very interesting.
I did have the
it would be like, I mean, I guess it'd be kind of bitter. I tried a cricket once, and it was just.
Well, I had an Exo protein bar.
Nice.
They were actually pretty good. Some of the better protein bars I've had. Like, had the consistency of like cake or something. It's pretty good.
If you recall, on our other podcast, The Break Room, we did for Taste Buddies.
That's true.
We ate crickets that were
straight up crickets.
Well, they were cooked in all kinds. They had different batter and
but
stuff like that.
But they still had the legs and all that.
Yeah.
Like, it still looked like a cricket.
And
it wasn't
actually,
ground
it was
up.
not that bad.
Actually,
it's not bad.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still tastes very earthy.
Yeah.
It does, yes.
Yeah, you're just like, there's
earthy is a good
taste, there's
description.
earth.
I don't know what
Yes.
the ratio of like cricket to get the same amount of protein that you get out of like a steak is, but
It's pretty easy.
Is it?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Actually, it's funny that you're talking about all of it. I recently went plant-based because of another documentary called What the Health.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how much protein is in plant-based. I haven't looked into insects, but like the vegans and vegetarians are actually not having issues with protein. It's just like B12 and iron. And that's really like, but then if you eat enough spinach, you're good with iron.
Right.
B12, you just take a supplement. So it's really a skew of the thoughts of protein. Now I know that I think I was reading something on the internet, and everything on the internet is true. So I'm gonna just
Of course.
Right.
that it is pretty protein packed.
Yeah.
Very like you just kind of mush it all together like a piece of burger, but it's really protein packed.
Maybe someday we can have a cricket steak then.
I think so. I think we
I mean,
be heading that way.
Maybe Intrinsic will add that to the menu.
Not to be all like Captain Planet or whatever, but I mean, our reduction of meat needs to go down. Like, just like
A reduction needs to go up.
Sorry, reduction needs to go up. You're right. I'm a horrible Captain Planet. You're right. There needs to be an increased reduction to go even weirder about it as far as meat goes, because the CO2 that cows put out.
Yeah, they farted out.
Yeah. Just go to El Paso. You can totally immediately tell. It's terrible.
Worse than cars sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. And we've been where we're eating meat like a lot less at our house, and I think like at least one day a week we don't have meat. So. Yeah. I mean, we're doing a small part.
Yeah, you are.
Not totally.
That's a big part.
Yeah. But
I'd have a hard time cutting out completely, but reduction is fine.
Yeah, I admit it is tough because it's not quite the same.
I really like barbecue and stuff.
Well, like the what are those?
It's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
The vegetarian burgers that.
Yeah.
Whatever they're called.
Bean burgers.
Yeah, they're not quite the same, but
they're not.
They're getting better.
They're better than they used to be.
One at Hop Dotties, and it's called the Impossible Burger. That is outrageous. I had been completely vegan, and then I was giving it a try. It is all plant-based. It's vegan. And I was like, this tastes like meat, and I don't know what to do right now. And I was like really confused that it was greasy.
It confused your palate?
Yes, and it bleeds.
Interesting.
And I know.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
I know it's like medium rare in the middle. It was
Weird.
very strange. And so it's very strange. So they're almost there. Almost there.
Since we're at Intrinsic Smokehouse today, do you miss meat?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been going vegan for?
Gosh, it's almost 2 months.
Okay.
And I've been introducing, like, I'm not going to not eat aioli because I really like aioli, and that's one of the things. But I may be reintroducing eggs.
Right.
I don't want to do cheese or anything like that. But, I mean, I miss meat. And if it's going to be, like, I haven't done it yet. My husband has. If it's going to be, like, a solid, grass-fed, healthy cow that I'm eating, probably.
Yeah.
If I kill it, if it's a fish that I kill, yeah. I mean, like, it's where if I know where it's coming from, like, Austin's a great place to get some good meat. Yeah. You can know exactly where they come from and all of that.
Local Yokel's really good, too.
Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah, and they will actually deliver around here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, see?
Yeah.
See, I'm accepting to that. I haven't done it yet because I'm, like, terrified of how I'll feel.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, when you go extreme one way, your enzymes cut down, and then you taste it, and you're like, I'm about to throw up. This is I'm gonna die. But no.
I hope you don't go through that.
No. I'll have to not wean, but like gradually.
Yeah.
Eat a
Step back into it. Dip the toes back in the blood slowly.
Wean yourself off of not having it.
Right.
So speaking of killing things, apparently millennials, as our weekly article about millennials killing something, beer industry apparently is what they're killing now. I think we mentioned this several times, but apparently
you're killing the beer industry, but it's not the beer industry that you think of.
Well, you say that, but I mean, I don't know. They didn't. Really, this is an article from Business Insider. They didn't mention craft per se. Mm-hmm. This was done by USB, which is a research firm. But anyways, here's what they said. They said that from 18 to 30-year-olds, sales dropped year over year by 1%. This is 2016, 2017. They surveyed 1,200, I guess, millennials. And they said wine and liquor did not change year over year, but every brand except for Stella, Dos Equis, and Miller all fell year over year. Recommendation rates for beer also fell across the board except for Dos Equis, Stella, and Shock Top.
I'm sorry, but Stella is like one of the worst beers ever made.
I can't stand Stella.
I can drink some Miller Lite on occasion, but Stella, no. Never, ever.
And, Dos Equis, I guess, is fine if you're on a hot beach or something. But
I would drink a Dos Equis.
Yeah. But
or
Stella,
a Negro Modelo.
I can drink a Dos Equis Amber.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Now, I'm willing to go over to Europe and try Stella's just straight off the line, fresh from the tap, without the light ever having hit the bottle.
The nasty green bottle version we get is awful.
The American version is terrible. Why that would ever be like one of the highest recommended beers? I guess if you don't know anything else, maybe you recommend a Stella.
It was confirmed to me one day when we were all out drinking a lot, and this was like the 10th beer, and I had Stella, and I'm like, this is awful, I can't drink it.
I still can't drink it.
Yeah, exactly. Even after all of this prep, it's still awful.
Yeah, I do wonder, all kinds of big firms, they fund studies that will lean their way. Because there was a big section of this article in Business Insider that mentioned AB pushing back against craft beer to say, we need to band up and fight against wine and liquor because they're coming after us across the Atlantic.
Right.
They didn't really mention craft beer sales at all, per se, compared to the macros. So
well, of course, I wonder. AB doesn't want craft beer to fall now either, since they own so many of them.
Yeah, true. I don't know.
They're in a weird position.
I don't know what they're. I don't know what they're.
They are no. Yet they continue to come
what their ultimate agenda is.
I don't know either. They keep putting out anti-craft beer things, but yet they continue to acquire craft beer. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I don't know either.
They have feet in both arenas, and it sucks.
I feel like if you're out in the wild in regular life, craft beer is not suffering with millennials at all. If you look around where we are right now, most of us are probably. There's a few older people, but most of us are in the 20s to 30s.
Yeah.
And so, that's majority that's sitting right here, drinking our beer or drinking the beer here.
Sure, there's some suburban 45-year-old dads that bring the latest craft beer as their exotic adventure, to the backyard barbecue or whatever. But I don't think that's the primary.
And I could see
the primary target.
And they do say that beer lost 10% share between over 10 years, and they predict it'll continue to fall. They did say that I could see this, I guess, that millennials are tending to drink less, and I could see this maybe with the advent of more marijuana being legal. I guess I could see an inverse relationship there, that if you're going to pick one or the other, you're going to afford one or the other, maybe you'd go for that. Maybe. I don't know. It depends probably where you live, but...
Yeah.
And I can speak for millennials, right? You're both looking at me. I'm like, yes,
we're staring at you intently.
I am a millennial. I don't know. That's a really, wherever I'm out, I'm always introducing people to beer. And I think that what they're saying, and since I didn't mention craft beer, yes, absolutely. I think sales of mainstream beer are falling tremendously. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great because craft beer is better for you technically and better tasting. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the ingredients are what millennials want. And a lot of it's when you're brewing a good beer, you have to be very careful with your ingredients. So they're not going to put corn syrup in there. They're not going to put crazy things like that. They're going to be like, no, it needs sugar, it needs wheat, it needs all of this. So it's kind of like when you go into the craft cocktail thing too. It's like they really like craft cocktails. They're really going to like craft beer.
Yeah.
So I might have to do a little bit more research on that.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely... Yes, trending, that is falling, but craft beer probably will be going up high.
Yeah.
Plus, I feel like the neighborhood craft brewery, like Intrinsic, something like that, is going to be more on the rise than even bigger guys, quote unquote, like Lakewood or something that distributes all over the place.
I would love to see that.
Get a lot of little pocket breweries.
I would love to see more pocket breweries. Yeah. It's like your pub on the corner that makes their own beer.
Yeah.
I think it'd be awesome to see more of that.
The owners of Intrinsic are millennials.
Oh, there you go.
So.
Freaking millennials. One hand, they're killing everything. Now they're creating. Yeah. What are we supposed to believe?
Yeah.
It's just, I think everybody is trying to bash on millennials.
Because they destroy everything.
Because apparently,
when it was us, Generation X, they blamed everything on us in the 90s.
It's funny when you're like, oh, you're ruining talking to people. And even here, you can look around and they're not on their cell phones. If you look at some old people... not here, but some old people, some places, they're all on their cell phones. And it's really? Millennials are ruining conversation?
Yeah.
Hey, and we podcasters are ruining radio, so...
Oh, hey,
that's true.
There you go.
Everybody's ruining something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so after this, we're going to talk about a documentary you can find on Netflix called The Truth About Alcohol from the BBC.
Hey guys, Josh here, just to let you know, to remind you, to get the word out, to put it in your brain, that no matter when you're listening to this podcast, Thursday is right around the corner. What's so significant about Thursday? Well, at Thursday at noon, you get to tune in and listen live to Liquid Lunch. Join myself and Catherine Contreras from She's Crafty Podcast as we join forces to bring you Texas's live midday craft beer show. It's the only one like it out there in the entire world. We're live. We take your calls at 713-678-0070. We have on the best guests in the craft beer world from the state of Texas and beyond, and it's just a fun time. You'll hear what you eating, what you drinking. We'll get the latest in news and craft beer goings-ons, promotions of all the latest happenings, and you can be a part of the show with us each and every Thursday at noon. LiquidLunchShow.com is where we're located. Also on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, streaming live video and audio. Your choice. Come join the party. Kick off the weekend, Thursday at noon. LiquidLunchShow.com. That's Liquid Lunch. We'll see you there.
Hooray for beer!
So Netflix's documentary, I guess it's technically a BBC documentary that you found.
So they picked it up.
They picked up a lot of stuff, and they claim it is their own.
It's not a Netflix original.
Yeah. It's called The Truth About Alcohol, and it's a short 58 minutes, which is good and bad. If you're not looking, if you don't have much time, it's great. If you want more detail like I do, more nerdy stuff, you don't get it. But that's all right.
For the length, they did pack in a lot of nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
For 58 minutes.
They did. I just wanted, there was some certain points I wanted more.
Sure.
The documentary is not, when you first told me about it, I thought it was going to be kind of propping up sobriety and about, here's why you should not drink, ever.
Yeah, and that's not the point of it.
Yeah, and I was surprised. It's called The Truth About Alcohol. You would think it's going to be an AA documentary.
Forever,
But
right.
It was actually somewhat pro-drinky, but being moderate about it.
Yeah.
Well, the main host, and I neglected to write down his name.
Now I'm going to try to pronounce it, and I'll probably... Javid Abdelmoneim.
Okay.
I think that's how I wrote it down.
Well, he
It's
works in the
probably
medical field and also is a drinker, as they show right off the bat.
Yes.
And I thought it was interesting that it seemed like the whole thing that spurred this documentary, and I haven't seen the details of this, but I'm assuming, are the new guidelines that came out in the UK about how much alcohol you should actually drink per week.
Yeah.
And it's gotten greatly reduced due to, and they give the overview at the beginning, due to new cancer risk and that kind of stuff. So they lowered I think it was mainly the men's guideline down to the women's level.
Yeah, which was...
And said it's basically 14 units, I believe, per week, which equates to 7 pints per week.
I thought it was less than that. I thought it was...
He said 7
you're
pints.
right. I'm sorry. I was reading wrong in my own notes here. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 7 pints per week, which they measure... they go through one night in his drinking, and he goes through... He's
a whole week.
past that, right?
They follow him for a week.
Yeah. Was it several days? Okay, I thought it was just one night.
It was a 7-day deal, and he said basically with that recap that he had a couple of days where it was just normal. I went out to the pub and had a couple, went home, didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And then he had one kind of over-the-top wine night.
Yeah.
But
a bottle and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We went all out.
Right. And, I could kind of equate to his idea there. That's, if I'm not worried about losing weight or anything like that, if I'm just normal drinking, I'd probably a couple days a week have a couple, and then maybe one day have more than a couple. And, it was kind of interesting from that point, that perspective, to see what kind of effect that actually had on the liver and everything else. Kind of did basically they attached a band to measure his sweat, which indicated how much alcohol he had in his system, so they could break it down by unit.
Which is pretty similar to the people that get convicted of DUIs. Yeah. They have to wear that monitor bracelet. Yeah. Pretty much the same way that works.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Detecting your sweat, yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's different levels of that.
It did look like an ankle bracelet, like you were in trouble.
It's pretty much the same thing,
Yeah,
it looked like he was under house arrest or something.
Yeah. I will say this is I was reading another article about the benefits of moderation this week, and that article, and I don't remember what site it was from now, but they were saying 4 to 5 drinks a day was moderation. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Whoa, that's way past anything I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I mean
that'd be great, but
yeah. I mean, 7 pints a week, to me seems too low.
Right.
So
but 5 pints a day seems way too high.
So when we were over there, their pints are bigger than ours. This is not a pint glass.
Sure.
I'm holding like a regular glass that you guys see at the bar.
Right.
Their pint glass. This fits a can, by the way.
Right.
A full can.
So what are these, about 12?
I think.
12-ish?
And theirs are about this bigger and a little bit rounder on the top. So it's a full pint. So their full pints are quite a bit larger than American pints.
Yeah, I think their standard serving's 20 ounces generally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was pretty damn big. I mean, like, I only had a couple whenever I was out. Like, and then they also do the option of half pints, which is a great thing. I think everybody should do half pints over there because then you get more variants of your beer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I think that's another reason why their 7 pint seems pretty low is because they're a lot bigger than ours are. It's like because you think of 7 of these.
So it's probably like a pint and a quarter U.S.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. So it's, and you would say, 7 of these.
Yeah.
That's a little bit too low.
Too low, yeah.
Although also I think they said 7 pints of a standard British lager.
Yes.
So,
Which
your ABV here is going to be...
That's true.
5%, 5% over there, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Yeah, around 4 to 5. So, we have all these things that are 7 to 12.
Yeah. Well, say Intrinsic has a couple of 10% bad boys here.
Oh, yeah.
Drink a couple of those, I think you've blown past your cancerous limit.
I think so.
Right.
So did you find anything surprising about the documentary? Other than just the low limit?
For me, I thought it was really interesting that they pointed out the fact that muscle helps a whole lot.
That's
with
what I was
handling your alcohol.
Because you think about
versus fat or anything else.
Well, like a fat guy like me, I always thought like, the bigger you are, know, the more likely you are to be like a drinking tank. Like I can easily like drink and not have a hangover. I rarely get a hangover, and I can drink a ton.
Oh, you're the 1 out of like 5.
I apparently, yeah. I guess. I mean, you have gotten. I barely have enough muscle to walk around, but I guess that's. But I always figured, like, even in movies, like the stereotype is like some big fat guy that can drink, right? Sure. But apparently, it has to do more with your muscle content,
which is very interesting.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah,
so they're like, go work out and then you can drink.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, exactly.
You earned it.
Well, the other thing I thought was interesting to give you again as an example between you and your wife, who
or me.
Right. Well, just talking about our wives and their tendency to drink wine and our tendency to drink beer and liquor, and the fact that they said wine does tend to give worse hangovers, and we just assume they get worse hangovers because they're smaller or whatever. But you add the smaller and that element, and it definitely kicks it up.
I think it was a certain like. I'm thinking the tannins and all of those things and all of that.
The polyphenol, was that what it was?
Polyphenol,
and it was something. It was something weird. It was like
the word is congenas.
Thank you, congenas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know if that's like a European thing.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I've never heard the word either.
Tannins and wine. I know like
the sulfites I had heard of.
Thank you. And sulfites.
When they ship wine over from Europe, they add more sulfites to preserve the wine, and so that's what I had always heard is why you have a worse hangover is if you can get sulfite-free or low sulfite wine, you'll have you'll have less chance of a hangover.
Yeah, the polyphenols were the good thing.
Sorry, the yes, you're right. But I'd never heard of congenas or congenas. I'd never heard of that before.
I haven't either, which is interesting. And that's what he was saying. It was like the red wines, the brandies, or the bourbons, and then beers were okay. They were in the middle. We were in the middle. So.
Beers were in the middle a lot, actually.
Yeah,
gin and vodka had the least.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right
in the middle.
Yep.
Gin and vodka had the least. Cider was on the high end, or like mid-white wines and cider were after that, and then beer, and then brandy and red wine. So
I definitely knew that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was always the sulfites, but I guess like from sulfites, I know in the wine, the tannins, which are the grape skins and the stems,
right?
That's what causes your hangover. It's like if you get that out, it's less. So maybe the congenies.
The congenialities.
Miscongenialities.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very interesting. It seems that like the darker it is, the worse it is for you. So I thought it was kind of weird too. I did. All of us knew that you're supposed to eat before you.
Yeah.
Drink.
And you should drink plenty of water.
You should drink a lot of water.
Yeah, which wasn't surprising.
I thought that was an interesting test just because I'm not saying like, if they're about the same size, maybe it's all the same, but I kind of thought maybe it'd be him and another dude doing it.
Yeah,
maybe having a woman, it's a little different on top of it. I don't know. But it just didn't seem like a very good control to me. It was an okay control, but it could have been better.
Well,
I could agree with you.
Yeah.
When he was measuring the amount of alcohol left in his body, I thought that was a good test because it does show the difference in the sexes as far as a woman tends to stay drunker longer.
I know. I would have liked to just seen.
Sure, I understand. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the height of science. I mean, it was more for just demonstration purposes. So I understand why they did it, but
I did like the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
From a drinker, because then it gave it a close to home feeling, because it's not like, oh, there's this guy that's like not an alcohol drinker talking to me about
preaching,
not drinking alcohol. Yeah. I'm definitely not going to listen.
Yeah, that
like,
exactly.
That's drinking alcohol, and he's like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually might not be that good for me. And again, I'm saying Europe, they drink so much more than we do.
Sure.
Because they walk around.
Yeah,
it's easier.
that helps.
You don't have to drive. So they're going to drink far more. So it may have been having to like pull back Europe and just being like, hey, don't walk around.
Yeah.
Just because you can walk doesn't mean you have to drink that much.
Yeah. Well, I think even in, I forget which country it is, even if you're riding a bike and you're drunk, you can still be thrown in jail for that.
Here,
interesting.
In America.
Yeah, I know you can't. I was talking about in Europe. You're not necessarily, you don't have to be in a car. You're just driving some wheeled device.
Skateboard?
Yeah, maybe.
One part that I thought was kind of goofy, I mean, I guess it fit the documentary, but it's something that everybody knows, was the whole effect on the brain at the pub when he did that whole exercise.
The inhibitions are lowered?
Yeah, who doesn't know that you can put your hand in ice longer, you're going to fall over. Everybody knows that stuff. Like, I just felt like there was no new ground on that part at all.
I think the same thing, but I thought it was cute that he said, you're always going to push the button. Like, you have you're not going to stop yourself from pushing the button.
Right.
And that was literal and metaphorical, as in arguments that you get in.
Yeah, sure.
Or, like, things that you're going to say. But the rest of it was like, I mean, come on, really, duh. Yeah, I can sit out in the cold a lot longer because I'm drinking a lot of wine.
Right.
Of course I can.
Yeah, I remember I had I think it was my earth science teacher in 8th grade or something like that, I remember one of the first stories she ever told us for some reason was she used to live in Alaska, and there was some homeless man that used to warm himself up by drinking a bottle of vodka every day, and then one day he died on freezing because he thought it was warm.
Exactly.
And she wanted to drive that point home. Like, for whatever reason, we're living in West Texas where it's blazing hot.
Yeah.
That you could die in the freezing weather if you try to drink and stay outside.
It gets below freezing like twice a year out there.
Yeah, I can recall it being below zero a handful of times in my life. Not really that worried about it, Teach.
Right? It's like, I'm going to be okay here.
Yeah. I'm going to drink all I want. I'm not going to die of cold exposure.
Yeah.
Well, another thing they did off the top, and I wanted to ask you all about this too. You know, when they did that like Q&A of common misconceptions of alcohol and stuff like that, and one of them was beer gets you less drunk. Is that a common misconception? Because I did not realize that, I guess. I thought, especially, maybe that was before like the craft beer boom and everything. If you're drinking a bunch of Budweiser, you're not going to get as drunk. But
because it's lower ABV?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
Whenever I'm drinking, personally, I'm going to drink a beer to not drink as fast. And so it is a little bit more filling, it's more bubbly, and you're going to slow down compared to a really good margarita. You're going to suck that thing down real fast. Wine, I mean, I know all of us can chug wine pretty easy. Not chug it, but like you just, all of a sudden you're done, you're pouring the next glass, and you're just like, okay, this is really easy.
Sure.
I don't think it's like getting drunk or not getting as drunk. It's you just savor and drink it slower. Kind of like champagne. Like, I can't chug champagne.
Yeah.
It's bubbly.
I've never tried. I would assume I can't either.
Like, I drink, I guess I drink beer slower, but I do tend to drink whiskey way too fast.
Yeah, and it's easier.
Even just when it's on the rocks,
Exactly.
I've just gotten so used to the harsh taste. It's just, I just pour
Not as bubbly.
Yeah.
You just pour it.
But I guess I never heard that. I mean, there's always that, you can call it a misconception or not, that different alcohols affect people differently. Mm. I find that, they say it's not true that all alcohol is the same, but I find that
true.
I find it like I feel like I act like if I'm drinking vodka, which is not what I do very often. I feel like I get drunker a lot faster compared to like something like Scotch or Irish whiskey. I have a completely different drunk on that.
Yeah, tequila.
Vodka.
So I would agree. Like,
I thought you were disagreeing.
Never mind. I take it back.
Yeah, no.
Or I agree that you're different on every...
Or Jaeger bombs. Like, watching people on Jaeger bombs just go...
Let's go party.
It's probably the combination of, like, caffeine
stimulant
and that.
Depressant.
But still, like, the I don't know, it's just a completely different type of drunk. Like, in your...
I like
a lot of times fighting is way up there with Jaeger bombs.
Oh, yeah.
And Jaeger in general.
You're like hyper and you're like ready to go, and then you're drunk, so you're like, let's push this button, and then we're gonna punch each other.
Everything to the max. Yeah. Hey, tequila's different.
I was going to say I agree with you on that because tequila to me it hits me way different than
vodka hits me really hard.
I can drink 7-8 beers and be kind of normal.
Yeah,
tequila, I don't know what it is. Something in there just gone.
Or like me, 35, having apparently a tray full of buttery nipple shots by myself that I meant to buy for other people at my party, and apparently I had the entire tray.
You drank them all at the bar.
Buttery nipples. You want
No, they're all free. I drank them all at the bar.
Drank them all at the bar. Yes.
Yeah, apparently I have no memory. This is the night the ambulance was called, and
oh my god,
I was at the Old Crow down on Greenville, and
awesome.
I just remember waking up the next morning about 4 a.m. and face down on my living room floor. And I had no recollection.
I remember wrangling you in, taking you
Everybody
home.
else remembers everything about that night.
I love that so much.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And Stefan over in Sweden, because I'm planning to go there next year, and it'll be my 38th birthday, and he's like,
nipples?
No, he's planning for another one of those nights. I'm like, never again. He's like, we'll see.
That's hilarious.
So were you disappointed by anything? For me, just as a nerd, I just wanted more detail, sciencey detail, like I don't know.
See, I feel like
a little more explanation about things.
I feel like the elements they focused on, they got pretty sciencey on. I mean, another complaint I had with it was the have a drink before you go to bed.
Yeah,
and how well that actually does. Like there was no control on him just sleeping one night without having a drink,
right?
And comparing it.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe he doesn't sleep well normally. I don't know.
That's true. I wish they would have had a control over that. I mean.
Yeah.
I know me, and I don't sleep as well with alcohol as I do without, but that's because I know me. No, they didn't actually show that on there, and that's unfortunate, which I think they should have shown that, and that's probably one of mine, too. I like science, too.
Yeah.
I think they did it really good for the layperson that doesn't have any clue about science.
Yeah.
And I'm in the healthcare field, too, like him, so he probably was like, oh, my God, I want to tell them so much more. And I think people were like, no, dude, chill out. You need to talk like a regular person, like elementary school version.
Yeah, explain it like you're 5.
Yeah, like I think that he got the point across pretty well, but I wish that for the science nerds, they could have gone a little bit more.
I wish they would have gone a little more in depth, like, you know, they say, well, it makes you eat more, but they don't explain why it makes you eat more. Like, other than just lack of inhibition. Like, there's like a chemical reaction that drives you to seek out certain, like, fats and, you know, salty things. And I wish they'd gone a little more into that.
Well, one thing they mentioned with the health guidelines that I wanted to get your take on specifically because of the way that you tend to handle alcohol. You tend to say, I'm going to have 1 day a week, and that's when I'm going to unleash, and then the rest of the week I don't do it.
Right.
And now they're starting to talk about, well, that's the total wrong way to do it. You're supposed to have a little bit each, you know, for a couple of days during the week. So what's your take on that? Do you think that that makes sense? Or
I think it can make sense. I've actually gotten to the point now where even on that 1 day a week, I'm not going hard like I used to. Like last week, I mean,
bunch of butter nipples.
No. Like last week, I was drinking tequila last week, and I think I had maybe a maximum of 3. It was probably like 3.5 shots. And that wasn't like shooting. That was like sipping tequila.
On. Sure.
So I'm trying to like be I'm trying to be like more moderate about that. It's more that I'm trying to, you know, get more in shape and have, you know, more muscle, less fat, so I can get drunker later.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm trying to drink less in general. So, to a certain point, I think alcohol, there are benefits of alcohol, but you can easily go over that where it's detrimental to your health. So especially if you're trying to lose weight like I am, it's detrimental.
Well, I mean, once you get past the weight loss option, I'd say you get to the ideal weight.
Oh, I'm going to be pounding them every night.
Do you think you'll be more?
Hell yeah.
You'll be more in line with what they said, or do you think you'll still? Okay.
The goal is to eventually get, once I'm in a happy place, I'll probably have a glass or two a night, pick up more beer again. Yeah. It's just right now I'm trying to limit to whatever I do. Just do it on Saturdays and not go hard like I was.
Interesting fact. I learned this in dental hygiene school.
Yeah.
Spirits make you gain the most belly weight.
Really?
Wine is second and beer is last.
Huh.
So your beer is going to be better for you. I know it has a bunch of carbs and stuff like that, but the way it does for inflammation.
Yeah. I could see that with inflammation.
Straight spirits is going to be the worst for you, and then that's just going to slow down everything else.
Yeah.
On top of
I could see the.
I'm going to convince you to drink beer, of course.
No.
The Beerded Lady, come on, let's be real. But it was very interesting because I always thought that, vodka and water and lime is what you're supposed to drink to lose weight. And all the skinny girls drank vodka, water, and lime. And then once I realized that I could drink beer, I was like, that? Like, really? This is actually the stuff that's going to keep my inflammation less?
Yeah.
I was going to go towards that. So
yeah, that makes sense.
And it's better anyway.
Right now.
I know, right? Way better than like drinking straight tequila. I'm like, dude, holy moly.
Well, right now I'm not drinking as much beer because the trainer I'm working with, it's like just trying to stay on my numbers. It's like I take up way more for beer just from a macro perspective than I do for spirits.
Yeah,
so I'm like, moderation, drink a little bit of spirits, and just, And it's working out well so far, but eventually I'm going to go back to drinking more beer.
After trainer.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Screw him.
You should be like, no, beer's better for me.
I would hope so as a co-host of a beer podcast, so you will drink beer again.
Yes, I am going to drink beer. It's just I'm just trying to moderate.
Right, no, I understand.
Breaks a little bit,
I understand.
Used to drink way too much.
It's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. I actually did like 3 months without drinking, and I had to like go towards kombucha.
Yeah,
and,
that's what we've done at home. Yeah,
because it's like fermented and it kind of gives you the flavor. Welcome, Texas allergies. So it's hard to stop drinking.
I've done that before, like knocked it off like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
It's
you feel great, and then you're like, but then you drink the first beer, and you're like, oh my god, this is what it's supposed to be like.
I love this carcinogen.
Yeah,
give me some.
Life. I like this one. Hey, like you probably don't smoke.
No, I don't.
No. You probably don't do hard drugs.
Not too much. No.
Not too much. Okay.
Yeah, a little heroin now and again.
Heroin, okay.
Right. Just a dab.
Yeah.
Choose your poison.
Yeah.
If your poison
everybody needs a vice.
If your poison's going to be alcohol, so be it. I mean,
you got to live this life a bit, right?
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, smoking pot's not a carcinogen, so that doesn't count if you just do that.
Every now and again, sure.
Yeah.
But it's not a habit. It's not like the neighbor, or it's definitely not. It's not a big habit of mine. It's just
moderation.
Yeah, everything in moderation. Yeah, a little heroin, a little 8-ball now and again.
Yeah. Well, like I said, just a dab, just a little bit.
A little hash.
Not a lot of 8 balls.
A little crystal meth. It's okay.
Sometimes you roofie yourself. It's all right.
That could be fun in itself.
Along that line, I would have liked them to talk about like the people who live like till they're 99 and they eat bacon and eggs and drink whiskey and beer every day.
And smoke pack of cigarettes.
Smoke a pack, they didn't mention those people at all.
No. I'm sure genetics and other things factor into it. But
that's what I would like to see mentioned.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, I feel
people?
like some of it's luck of the draw, too, that you just happen to not get some of these cancers and stuff, no matter how you treat your body.
Right.
It can't all be pure genetics. There's got to be something, there's got to be a little bit of a lottery system to it, too, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I just would like to know, to at least touch on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe get it. Surely some of these people have donated their bodies to science. What are there some indicators?
Why are you 100 and you've done everything? You've drinking Dr. Pepper for your whole life.
Yeah, exactly.
How did that happen?
Well, like that guy that they've mentioned on the local sports station a couple of times that is like 102 and lives in Austin, and he smokes every day and drinks whiskey all day every day, and he's done that his whole life. And he's still kicking around, like a little bit of blindness, kind of, but mostly. I mean, if I'm 102, I'm a little bit blind, and that's my only problem. I think I'm doing all right.
You're doing pretty good for yourself.
Continue to smoke and drink and eat bacon and eggs.
You live a pretty good life. Yeah. Yeah, that was my only other disappointment was I wanted to see a little bit about that. But the people who go balls out and they still
just party hard, and they're fine.
That's the type of person I want to be.
Yeah, right. Let's just party hard.
I want those genes. Yeah,
I want to be able to drink all the time and not have any health problems.
Yeah, have no repercussions.
I got cursed by terrible family genes. So overall, I mean, what would you give the documentary?
I would give it a positive review. I think they covered enough. Like you said, it could have been more detailed, but for a nice overview of the whole discussion, I think they approached it really well. I think it was good that they had a guy, like Jennifer was saying, that wasn't just some kind of teetotaler that was kind of like the Super Size Me guy that just happened to eat McDonald's all the time for this small time frame. Like he's a guy who actually drank, and I don't know. I think that was a good perspective.
Yeah.
And a guy in the medical field, I think, helped also. But
that was in alcohol. He was working with alcoholics coming in, which is very interesting.
Right. Yeah.
While
good
still
point.
Drinking, which was wait, what?
Yeah, that does seem weird, but overall, I would say it was pretty good. I liked it. I would recommend it.
Jennifer?
I would totally agree with you. I thought that was my point, was that it was someone relatable that you could understand, and a healthcare professional. And being a healthcare professional, knowing what most of that stuff does to you, that I'm still drinking as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's nice to hear something from someone that is going through it while he was making the documentary. And that was kind of a neat thing also, is that you're able to take a perspective like, wow, he's actually traveling through this as we're watching it, and not being like, oh yeah, I did this like a while back and here are my outcomes and all of that kind of stuff. No, he was like, let's do this together.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that was.
I think it's positive.
Guinea pig approach. Yeah, I agree. It was not. It was, to me, again, I was expecting the preachiness. Very glad we didn't get preachiness. Like, I don't need somebody to preach me about alcohol. No. Like, I've known plenty of alcoholics in my life. I don't need that anymore. You know, like I know that. I mean, I know a lot of people probably don't know the difference, and they probably need that knowledge. But I'm glad it wasn't one of those, because I'm sure there's plenty of those documentaries out there.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad it was more of a moderate stance for sure. And me, I just want a little more nerdy detail, but that's me. But for a layman, I think it's a great documentary. I think it's a great introduction to moderation. And why you should do it from a health angle. I think that was really good. 2 thumbs up on it.
For giving thumbs, I'll give it 2 thumbs up also.
Yeah, me too. 2 thumbs.
So I have 2 questions as a result. Does it make you want to drink less? Actually makes me want to drink more.
Yeah, right? I'm like, well, me personally, no. I need to cut down during the week just because I know it affects my sleep differently.
Yeah.
But at the same token, there's some days that I get home, I'm a dental hygienist, it hurts, and I rather drink a beer than take a Tylenol.
Yeah.
Because they do the same exact thing to your liver. I mean, if you're going to take a Tylenol every damn day, then I might as well drink a beer and enjoy my night and chill out versus just killing the pain. And
a lot tastier than Tylenol.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I never have thought I haven't thought of it that way, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. And they actually said that alcohol, well, they said, these people out there, they said that alcohol is just as good as painkillers, and it's not going to be as addictive, or some people it is addictive, but it's just as good. And you're ruining the same body part, so why not just have a little fun with it instead?
That's a good point,
Yeah. Dustin?
What do we...
Does it make you want to drink less?
Oh, no.
No,
No, it doesn't.
I need another pint.
Right. No, it doesn't have that effect on me. I would say it's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that they are just talking about the risk and all that. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably don't realize all the cancer risk and everything that comes with excessive drinking, too.
Yeah.
And maybe there are elements of even our culture, well, just speaking of the U.S. culture, especially in the college years and things, of binge drinking and just going as hard as you can. Maybe some of that probably should be, put the brakes on that a little bit. But overall...
That's where you learn, though.
True.
You learn your limit.
Yeah, that's how we're like, how am I not dead now?
Yeah.
What happened?
But yeah, for me personally, I don't think it really had much effect on me. You, Mark?
No, like I said, it makes me want to drink more only because I'm not really drinking right now. Like except for one day a week. Yeah, I would like to be more of a moderate drinker rather than just one day a week. So it actually makes me want to drink more, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, no, it would. and then you find out that it causes cancer. You're like, let me have a few more
Yeah, just keep on feeding it.
Oh, let me add one last thing that they did.
Yeah.
One last experiment they did, which was the hangover remedies.
Oh, yeah.
That was interesting.
Do you remember what the pill was that they did?
Starseed oil. And
starflower oil.
Starflower oil.
Also known as borage.
Okay, yeah,
had you guys heard of that before?
Nope.
I'd never heard of that.
Never had it either.
Okay.
Definitely going to try it now, though.
Yeah, right. I'm going to go grab it.
I have done...
I've done the scramble.
No more hangover? Have you had that?
No, I haven't had that, but I've taken... what's the stuff they give to kids when they're having, like...
Pedialyte.
Pedialyte. I've done that.
Gross.
Oh, yeah. But it helps.
It's terrible.
And I've done charcoal pills before.
What was your charcoal pill?
What was it?
Experience.
I did it last week. I had no ill effects. I actually felt like I was not nearly as intoxicated as I normally would be. Yeah, but it was fine. It was good. It was an experiment.
It's like a filter on your body.
It could have been. It could have been. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It could have been more
right?
mental, but it seemed to work all right.
Sure.
So
that's pretty cool.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting. The scramble didn't really help anybody.
Right.
I could see if you ate it beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
After.
Yeah.
Like
all
if
the
you,
grease.
Yeah, all the grease and fat will help you ward off the hangover.
I mean, to be honest, and they didn't even talk about this, and that's another probably negative thing that I can think about is more alcohol. The reason you have a hangover is because you have alcohol withdrawals.
Yeah.
And I know it's not like the greatest hangover cure ever, but if it's on a weekend, having one beer and you get to cure your hangover, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
It's totally worth it. That's why we have mimosas and Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
Because
that's right.
It's a hangover cure.
I've done it and it does work.
Yeah, right? And you don't have to drink the rest of the day. You can just have one and you're like, oh, I'm one and done. This is good. My hangover's cured. Let's just go on with our lives. I can work out later. Like, it doesn't matter. It's...
Right.
Makes the morning a bit brighter.
Yeah. So I wish they would have brought that up. It's just like the hangover cure is actually more alcohol. I didn't even think about that. That's one of the sciencey things that they should have brought up, is that a hangover is withdrawal, literal withdrawal.
That's true. They did not mention
alcohol.
that.
Yeah.
And they should have brought that up and said, this is why you're having it, is because you had way too much and now your body's freaking out.
Yeah.
And I also wish they could have brought up, like, how alcohol is literally the only withdrawal that you can die from. So,
could you die from a heroin withdrawal too? I thought.
I don't think that opioids can cause that. Alcohol is the only one that your body just starts shutting down.
Yeah.
After not having it, and after you're not weaning yourself off. And it happens quite frequently. So, like, alcoholics do have to go through drinking alcohol. You can't cut. This is like the only thing you can't cut cold turkey.
Yeah.
Which is, I wish I kind of would have brought that up, because I'm sure a lot of people. I didn't even think about that. I'm sure a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, I'm never going to drink again."
Yeah.
Like, no, pump the brakes. You need to drink a little bit before you stop, like, completely.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but a little more detail. But overall, I think it was a good documentary.
It's great.
All right, well, thanks for listening to episode 114 of Brew Bloods. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it. Leave us a review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And you can check us out on social networks at Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those. What's your blog URL again? Because I always forget it.
TheBeerdedLadyblog.com.
With two E's, not an A.
Yeah, with E-E.
Yeah.
Beer, like as in bearded.
Yes.
B-E-R-D-E.
Although you have grown quite a nice beard.
Thank you. Thank you. It has gotten a lot longer.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Instagram is The Beerded Lady.
Yeah.
With two E's.
And you're a lot more frequent on social media than we are, so that's for sure.
I try. It's been hard, but I try.
If you have any feedback, you want to tell us what we got wrong today, feel free to email us at brewbloodshow@gmail.com, or you can call us at 469-573-BEER. That's 469-573-BEER. That's 2337. All right, for Dustin, I'm Mark.
Mark and Dustin, Probst.
Probst.
Probst.